Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. How's everybody doing? How's it going out there? There's a lot of very interesting playoff scenarios, swings right now happening in non-NFL life right now. Roger, you're rocking your Knicks hat. All three of us are big Habs fans right now, battling against the Buffalo Sabres. So there's a lot of fun right now happening on the sports world right now.
Oh, it's not.
2.5
It's
for
done.
sure.
It's done. It's done. The
2.5
allegiance has
for
been
sure.
made.
So,
All right.
just to put everyone in context, this is actually not fantastic segue. Thank you very much. Before we get into all the fun stuff right now, we're just going to talk about this for a quick second. So, our resident pod master, if you will, the pod director, Mr. Roger, although he's a massive Giants fan, for a while he was a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and as everybody knows in the world of hockey, the Leafs haven't been relevant since 1967. So if anyone is listening out there right now and you're a Leafs fan and you live in Montreal, you can understand what Raj used to go through as far as a little bit of torment is concerned. But he is happily converted over to Habs Nation. It's been about 18 months now, I want to say. Like you're sort of like you're sort of
Give or
halfway
take.
there
Would've said
last
18
year, and
minutes.
now like
I would have said 18 minutes.
yeah,
Give or take. Give or
I-
take.
yeah. I think he's still being acclimated to it. So
Yes.
every now and
Yes,
then
I
we give
am.
Roger a shot for
Y-
being
y-
for
Yes. Yes, I am, and I think because I'm a casual hockey fan, I feel like this is okay for me. Like, but yeah, it's good. It's good to be part of Habsdom.
it's good to be on this side of the fence, where
Indeed.
things are nice with 24 Stanley Cups. But anyways, enough about that stuff. As much as the NBA playoffs are super exciting right now, when Benyama's really taken over and all that, and the NHL playoffs are fantastic with McKinnon breaking his nose and still getting an empty net goal because that's really what he does. We're here to talk to you guys about a fantastic episode that we have with rookie dynasty leagues right now. So the NFL draft happened. I think we're about a month ago. About give or take, like let's say like 3 weeks ago, it happened. People are, rookie training camps are in full swing, and dynasty is very much a hot topic right now, where a lot of people are going to be starting their dynasty drafts, where they draft these rookie players, and we're here to give everybody our take on where these guys should be ranked and where they should be drafted. So we got a fantastic episode where we're going to be we've ranked everyone from a tier perspective. We're going to be identifying some discrepancies within our rankings because we don't always think alike. Let's just be honest, and you don't want us to think alike either. Roger was a Leafs fan up until 14 minutes ago. So because of that, we're going to be going over who got ranked higher and why. So we got a very fun episode. But before we jump into that, ladies and gentlemen, and before we jump into also some other interesting news that we're going to be touching on as well, please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter for your weekly fantasy breakdowns all season long, both off season, on season, OTAs, and all that fun stuff. Send us all of your questions about rankings. Send us your questions about drafts and all that stuff. Draft strategies, we're May, but they're right around the corners, So if you have any questions about two quarterback leagues and all that stuff, one quarterback leagues and everything, send us our way. And as always, I should have started with the intros. We're 5 minutes in right now. I'm Fab, Knack, that's Raj. We're here with the Bush League Huddle Fans Football Podcast. We're gonna get this ball. Who's gonna get the ball rolling right now? Actually, so there's some interesting news. Breaking news out of the free agent signings. So we have David Njoku, former tight end of the Cleveland Browns, signing with the Los Angeles Chargers, 1 year up to $8 million. We have Juwan Jennings, wide receiver formerly of the San Francisco 49ers, signing with the Minnesota Vikings, 1 year, $13 million. And just breaking news just happened about an hour ago, I want to say. Devon Achane signing a 4-year extension with the Miami Dolphins, $68 million, 32 guaranteed. This will make him the third highest paid running back, which I think is a bargain, in my opinion. This guy's 25 years old. I don't know if he's turning 26 this year, but you got him for what seems to be his prime years up until his contract expires. So this is good on Miami. This is very, very good cap management. Just to touch on quickly for the previous two, for Njoku and Juwan Jennings, I think these are more football moves than fantasy football relevant moves. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, guys. Like David Njoku, they signed Charlie Kolak or something.
Kolak, yeah, blocking tight end.
Kolak. Yeah, he's a blocking tight end. So like obviously they're gonna be running a lot of 12 personnel, you would think. And I love like Njoku's great, but this is more of a stock up for Harold Fannin Jr. Because now he has all of the tight end reps on that end over there. And Juwan Jennings, I like Juwan Jennings. I know Roger, you and I like we sort of had some nice conversations about him, like especially that year where he really broke he broke out for San Francisco when everybody else was injured. And you kind of wondered, what was going to be this year because they needed another wide receiver with Ricky Pearsall always getting injured and Brandon Ayuk not really existing from a wide receiver standpoint for the 49ers. And he goes to Minnesota, where you would imagine he's going to be third in the pecking order. So I get from a fantasy standpoint, like now Juwan Jennings is completely irrelevant to me. But from a real football standpoint, you got to really appreciate what the Vikings are doing, really trying to get as many weapons as possible for Kyler Murray. Because let's be honest now, it's going to be Kyler Murray, the starting quarterback, not JJ McCarthy. So that's just
Weren't you
my that's
MVPing
just my
him
take.
a couple weeks ago?
I was, and he's already beating him in practice reps too. In the
Hmm.
very, I know we're not going to put a lot of stock on practice and all that, and let's be honest now, I don't think the bar is very high from a JJ McCarthy perspective. I think any one of us can go in there probably sling it better than him.
I think the thing with
Not
Jawan
very
though
much better.
is I think the thing with Jawan quickly is Addison was arrested again. I think in early 2026 in January, and they
Okay.
run a lot of three wide receiver sets, and he's an amazing blocker. Like he's gonna see the field a
Yes.
lot, and I think
Yes.
this is a big move for the running game. Whoever is at running back with Minnesota, so I really like that signing. I don't think it is a pure death knell to his fantasy potential though. Personally,
Good red zone player. He had 9 touchdowns last year.
yeah.
I don't think it's completely out of. I don't think he's out of the irrelevant. He's not irrelevant for sure. It's going to be curious to see what it looks like, but still had 9 touchdowns
The,
last year. I feel like he could still be a good player.
yeah, he had 9 touchdowns, but he wasn't sharing the wide receiver room with Justin Jefferson, and that's sort of like my take on it. So I feel like you're going to be you're seeing a lot more. How many targets going to be available for Juwan Jennings? That is, it's a conversation to have much later on. But from a football
Mhm.
standpoint, from a real football standpoint, I think it's a great move, and I think Minnesota are going to have a very nice team next year. Well, this year, excuse me. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the meat of this episode, which is Dynasty rookie rankings. So, attached to took, as they say, get your popcorn ready. We're gonna jump right into tier one of the rankings. Oh, that's such a nice graphic, Roger. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not watching this video on YouTube, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, you're going to be looking at a fantastic graphic that Roger put together right now. And number one, I mean, the tier one is the elite, the best of the best. You want to call it that. So number one, we got Jeremiyah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, who went to the Arizona Cardinals, and what seems to be a very muddy or very congested running back room. But we all know that he is the guy that you want to draft from a dynasty rookie standpoint. All three of us have him ranked number one. So we'll just move on to the next one over there. Number two is actually Carnell Tate from an aggregate perspective. And you can see on the screen right now, Roger has him ranked as 2, Knack 3, myself 4. Carnell Tate is a wide receiver that came out of Ohio State, drafted by Tennessee Titans. From a dynasty perspective, and I guess I'll give you guys my take right now because I can see that I'm the one that has the biggest gap out of all three of us here. Why is Carnell Tate number 4 in my ranking versus 3 or 2? So I like Carnell Tate. I like Ohio State wide receivers. I think this is more of a scenario where I don't know what Cam Ward is going to be this year, and I don't know if he'll be able to create that sort of volume for Carnell Tate to come out and be, you know, a viable long-term starter. And there's a lot of conversations about him not being even the best wide receiver out of this class. Um, so that's really, and I just also like the other guys after him more from a long-term perspective, being Jordan Tyson and Makai Lemon. But that it's nothing. It's no knock on Cornell Tate. Quite honestly, I just had to rank these three wide receivers in a certain way, and Tate came out as third. But that's it.
In a lot of
Yeah.
other dynasty. Oh, go ahead, Nat. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, I was just about to say, just to interject and just to be like to play the devil advocate here on that point. I think Cam Ward did look much better as the year went on, especially later on in the season. And now he's going to have not only Carnell Tate, but there's going to be a Wandell Robinson that's going to be there. So it's going to help him out a lot. And I think that's where Carnell Tate will benefit. That's why I have him at 3 instead of, let's say, lower and at 4. I think it's promising. The rookies are always going to struggle in their first season unless you're Stroud and Jaden Daniels. But typically they do struggle in their early years, and I feel like Cam Ward has the potential to be better and better, a la um, Caleb Williams style, where he just kept improving year after year. So I really like Carnell Tate in that offense this year. Although we always do say that it's not a sexy team, those Tennessee Titans.
I think what gives me upside is the offense coordinator, Brian Dable. If you recall, Fab, the last time that Brian Dable had a top pick was Malik Neighbors. He was peppered with targets. And who did he have at the opposite side of him at flanker wide receiver? He had Wandell Robinson. So both of those combined, I think, had a lot of targets. So I think, as I was gonna say, most people it's so deferring in terms of, do you have Tate 1? Do you have Tyson 2? Do you have Tate 2? Do you have Tyson 1? Some people have even Makai Lemon 3. So I think it depends on the taste. But for the fit with Cam Ward, where it's a lot of scrambling ability, a lot of like deep shots, I love Tate in terms of his catching ability at the sideline and his contested catch ability, 80% contested catch rate. I love that. And I think he's going to have a really solid rookie season.
Well, I'll say this. Out of all 3 of those guys, I think Carnell Tate has the highest floor.
Yeah,
I think he's the safest of all the wide receivers. I think, yeah, and from a lot of the points that you mentioned, Roger, too. And again, the fact that he comes from the Ohio State University wide receiver, these guys are just bred to catch balls. It doesn't make any sense to me. But moving on to the guys that I think have a higher ceiling, which is why I would rank them higher, one being Jordan Tyson. And, when this guy is healthy, which I know has only been about for 2/3 of the games that he's played, and coming from the fact that he's going to a very nice offense with Tyler Shuck, I just have him ranked. I mean, I have him ranked 2. Nak, you have him ranked 2 as well. Roger, you have him ranked 5. So I would like to see exactly why you have him ranked with such a big disparity, Roger, because I think Nak and I are on the same page for the first time in a long time. And I think there's that offensive potential with Jordan Tyson that is so enticing. Can't believe it.
Well done.
Very, very enticing. I like the talent. I know there was some concerns about his route running ability, maybe a little too loose of a player. The durability is what concerns me. And he's going with another really non-durable player in Chris Olave. Not that necessarily has a factor in the rankings, but I really worry about the amount of time that he's missed in college, the amount of time that he was in a bona fide system as well at ASU. And if he has a great year and he's healthy, I'll gladly eat my words. But for me, the knock that I see on him is the durability and just the lack of fighting. There was a lot of talk about, lack of fighting for yards, more of a softer player as well. And again, a lot of this it's eye of the beholder. It's more like, what is your flavor in terms of type of player? And I'm more of a fan of Carnell Tate's game and some of the other wide receivers as well. Don't forget, Devon Vele is still there. It's never a foregone conclusion with a lot of these players, even for Carnell Tate, right?
Yeah, no, and I don't think it's I don't think these rankings are meant to stipulate or state exactly which guys are going to have immediate success. I think this is more of a long-term thing too. I mean, these are dynasty rankings.
Exactly.
So I think, but even at that though, Jordan Tyson, I don't know. I just feel like he'll have a very interesting career with New Orleans, and it's a very nice offense, and the fact that he's not going to be expected to be the wide receiver 1 there also takes off a little bit of pressure for him too. Yeah, that's how I see it. But you know what? That's tier 1. I think we sort of exhausted tier 1. Let's jump into tier 2 right now, where the rankings are a little bit spicier.
Yes, I will take us off here with tier 2. So as a consensus, we have Makai Lemon at number 4. We've got Fernando Mendoza at number 5. Casey Concepcion at number 6. Jadarian Price, number 7. And Omar Cooper Jr. at number 8 consensus. So if we jump back here to Makai Lemon, we're pretty much on the same page here. Fab has him ranked 3, I have him ranked 4, and Raj has him ranked 3. I don't think there's much discussion here. We've talked about him. He's that Amon-Ra, St. Brown comparison. It's just going to, for production purposes, it's going to really depend on how Hertz can really get him the ball in the middle of the field. Is he going to throw to the middle of the field? Can he see to the middle of the field? So I think that's going to hinge on his success. And then obviously there's that elephant in the room where we're waiting on that AJ Brown trade. That should be in about 3 weeks from now if the timetable is still correct. But um, I mean, I have him at 4. I mean, I think it's ranked pretty evenly here, guys. I don't know if there's anything else to add on your end on what you would change.
I wouldn't change anything. The only thing that I would add is that I was listening to Matt Harmon's podcast today, and he was charting Makai Lemon, and it sounds like he's not just a middle of the field guy or a slant guy. He's really good at outbreaking routes, slant, the fade route to the corner, which those are really good throws that Jalen Hurts is good with. So I think Hurts has probably heard a lot of the critics. I feel he's the type of guy who he hears the critics, he's going to want to showcase that he can throw in the middle of the field. And this is more my type of wide receiver. The only last thing I would add is that the NFL is going more towards the power slots. So like the Chris Godwins, the Puka Nakuas, Meka Bukas, those types of players. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, they've had a ton of success lately. So I really think he is kind of a plug and play type player in any team.
I like that.
We move towards Fernando Mendoza. This is where we get a little bit of a skew. Fab, you had him at 5, Raj at 4, and I myself had him at 7. So my reasoning for being at 7 is just I in a rookie draft, I'm not sure I'm going QB this high. I'm probably going to stack up, try to get more of positional players. I know you're playing the long game, but especially if you're playing one QB leagues, it's going to be a tough sell to pick Fernando Mendoza at 5. He does figure to have a pretty good career, but it's still a wait and see approach, especially in a what we saw a bad QB class this year or a worse QB class this year. So just curious to see, Rod, you have him at 4 here. I'd love to hear the story behind that.
I think he'll play sooner than we think. Really, I think let's take a look at what that bye week will be for the Raiders when the schedule comes out tomorrow, Thursday. I think he'll just play sooner. I feel like Kirk Cousins, we know what we have out of him. I don't see the Raiders having a great start to the season. And if it's not a great start, they're probably going to feel pressure to put him in. I don't think he'll start the season, Will Mendoza, but I think we'll see him way sooner than we think.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I had him a little bit higher I had him higher just because there's a premium on quarterbacks. And if you're drafting a dynasty league that starts 2 quarterbacks, yeah, guess what? Like, you need quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Right? So that's elsewhere my 2 cents in that too. And plus, I think he's going to have a path to starting and putting up some meaningful fantasy numbers probably towards the end of the season. It's more of a supply and demand thing for me than anything else.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is you're drafting him this high, but there's no expectation. He for sure he sees the field this year, but I'm talking about it more on a dynasty potential of. I guess you see him as a potential QB1 in the future, fantasy wise.
I do.
I think it's not impossible to suggest that. I mean, if he has a similar career arc to the guy that he's going to be backing up or supposedly backing up in Kirk Cousins, yeah, that is a QB1 territory, and nothing would tell me otherwise. So, yeah, absolutely, yes.
So we'll move on to Mr. KC Concepcion. So consensus, like I said, is number 6. This one was obviously very close. Fab and Raj had him ranked at 7, and I had him at 5th. I had him a little higher just because I don't know, Cleveland, they've got to get one right at some point, and I really liked his game. I don't know. From the other wide receivers, they might have a little bit more in front of them. Mainly Omar Cooper Jr. As we'll see down the list, but you'll have other players in front of him that will be hard to surpass. So I like KC Concepcion here at number 5 in my ranking.
Yeah, I'm not gonna push back on this, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, yeah, you can definitely argue that he's gonna be the best wide receiver in that Browns room, but the problem with the Browns, and you can also argue that's gonna be the same problem with the Jets, even though I have Omar Cooper Jr. higher. So from an organizational standpoint, like, it's kind of hard to trust those wide receivers, from a fantasy perspective, even dynasty, right? So that's kind of why maybe I had Omar Cooper Jr. a little bit higher than KC Concepcion, excuse me.
Yeah,
But
man,
yeah,
come on.
it's there.
Can't forget the accent.
You have to. I'm sorry. Concepcion. I'm sorry. But you have to figure that he's going into a good situation. Yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs over here. Like, I'm not going to argue too much with Mac having him at 5 and me and Raj having it at 7. I think he's gonna be. I hope he's going to be a good player, because I do like the cut of his jib and just the highlights you saw, the combine and all that stuff too. The guy has some juice.
A lot of scouts, tape watchers felt he was the best wide receiver in the class. And again, that's where it's so polarizing, this wide receiver group. There's a ton of people that find Concepcion the best. There was some who had Omar Cooper Jr. as the second or third best wide receiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move along to number 7. It's the other one from Notre Dame, Jadarian Price. So me and Fab had him ranked at number 8, and Raj had him as high as number 6 on the list. I don't have. I think, but yeah, it's not a huge discrepancy. I think he's definitely a one to grab for sure in this 7-8 spot for me. Even as high as 6, I'm not going to be. I'm not going to like cry over spilled milk here. He's still a guy to go after in a fantasy draft and relatively high. So, Raj, any reason why you were as high as 6?
Chase the good offenses. Chase the offenses that can repeat, that have good offensive lines, the quarterback's there, elite wide receiver. Let's see what happens with Rashid Shaheed as well. But for me, I'd rather just chase the really good offenses on that front.
I like it.
Yep.
And we'll finish off tier 2 here with Omar Cooper Jr., consensus number 8. Fab had him as high as number 6 on the list. I had him at 9, and Raj had him at 8. Fab, you want to explain Omar Cooper at 6 for you?
I just like the role that he's going to be playing automatically within this offense. Like, we know that Garrett Wilson is going to be the alpha, he's the number 1, but Omar Cooper Jr. really goes into that slot, yards after catch type role, which can be very helpful from the eventuality of them having a rookie quarterback. I know this year's Geno Smith, but you can imagine that's going to be very helpful next year too. And I just feel like because the role is solidified, it automatically lends itself to having immediate fantasy impact. And he's been compared to Deebo Samuel. He's been compared to other stocky sort of wide receivers in that lens too. I honestly, I really like him on this offense. And Raj, you mentioned it. Some people look at him as the second best wide receiver in this class. I think he's a little bit overlooked, and I think the Jets got a steal with drafting him 30th overall. I really do.
I agree.
I think he's going to be a very important. I think he's going to be a very good piece in this offense that will bring itself to fantasy relevance. And I like him over KC Concepcion, just for that specific reason. He could have longevity from a dynasty perspective.
Crazy. These two really bad teams have these really, really gem wide receivers on the roster, and you just pray to God that they don't, screw them up.
They're playing themselves out of a top pick next year. The Jets, they look like they have a sneaky decent team.
Yeah, I agree
on,
with
on
that.
the offense. They have a pretty good team on paper
Hall
for
signed
sure.
too, eh?
Yeah.
Breece
Hall.
We forgot to mention Breece Hall. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and the only reason why I really had him at 9 is just I'm worried about the Sadiq aspect with Garrett Wilson still there, and that's why for me he came down the ranking a little bit.
That's
That's
a
fair. That's totally fair.
fantastic segue to the tier 3 rankings, Knack, which I'll jump in right away. Actually, so we had for tier 3 spots 9 to 15. So Kenyon Sadiq at 9, Denzel Boston with the Cleveland Browns at 10, Eli Stowers with the Philadelphia Eagles at 11, Antonio Williams with the Commanders at 12, Jeremy Bernard with the Pittsburgh Steelers at 13, Zon Stribling with the 49ers at 14, and Caton Allen with the Washington Commanders at 15. So yeah, Nak, you were quite high with regards to Kenyon Sadiq. You had him 6th. We Fab and I had him 9th. Personally, for me, it was the Mason Taylor aspect. And Frank Reich will be the offensive coordinator. And the last time he was a full-time play caller, I think they were a one tight end set team at a 87% clip. So that concerns me a bit, but I see Sadiq as being used as more of like a Jonnu Smith type, more gadget type tight end. I don't know if you see this. Maybe you see a bit more upside on that front, Knack, but curious where you had him there.
Yeah, no, look, you don't spend a high draft pick on a tight end to leave him on the bench, is where my kind of head goes. His production is just it was crazy with Oregon last year. He is a beast of a human as well. So I think again when we start talking about next year when they're going to be, you know, going after potentially another rookie quarterback and who might have to start, who is a rookie quarterback's best friend is the tight end, and if you have one as dominant as a Sadiq could be, I think it could be. I think they hit a home run with the pick, but they're I understand the Mason Taylor being there, but he was a lower-ended draft pick, whereas Sadiq's a top 15 pick. I think they're going to use him.
He was a second round. I think Mason Taylor was in the second round. I totally get your point.
Well,
he also
yeah,
played well. It felt like a luxury. It felt like a luxury that
for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
they
For sure.
need, again, with the type of season they're going into, right? You know, we're thinking they're going to tank. This looks like a way better team than I think what, you know, anyone was expecting coming out of the offseason.
They have so many nice offensive weapons now.
Yeah,
Like this doesn't.
they really
This
do.
is not the New York Jets of old, you know. Like their draft, and even the Browns too. And I know we're gonna talk about some other more Browns players. I can't believe we're
Mhm.
talking about this that much. But like they knock their drafts out of the park, you know. Like it's 2 years in a row that they both teams draft very well. So this could be a change of things, as potentially a sign of things to come. But I agree with Raj, especially from we both sort of had him ranked in the same spot. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of mouths to feed. And I know, Knack, to your point, like he was drafted 16th overall, so you want to get him the ball and all that stuff. Is going to be the rookie quarterback's favorite target next year. I just when they drafted Omar Cooper Jr. and it's like it's just more targets, and it's I don't know. So that's why I was a little bit more hesitant on that. But again, I'm not shying away from drafting Kenyon Sadiq in a dynasty. That's for sure.
Yeah, totally. At 10, Denzel Boston with the Cleveland Browns. Won't spend too much time on this, but we were pretty even. Fab, you were at 13. Nak and I were both at 10 from a consensus standpoint. I think what's really interesting with Boston, 800, almost 900 yards last year, 11 touchdowns with Washington, 2.5% drop rate. He's going to be a big red zone target. He's a big-bodied wide receiver, sort of in the kind of Jaden Higgins, maybe Tate McMillan style. So it will be interesting to see. I think him and Concepcion neuter each other a little bit, but it will be interesting to see how they are used with the Todd Monken offense. And again, looks like it's Deshaun Watson so far. If nothing to add there, I'm going to move on to 11 with Eli Stowers. We were pretty even across the board. Fab and I 11, Knack 12. I think Stowers is very athletic. He had very similar athletic testing to Kenyon Sadiq. I believe Dallas Goedert is on a 1-year deal. So afterwards, he's pretty much gone after that. And I think we're going to start seeing Stowers being used more as a kind of outside the inline tight end. He's going to probably be more on at the wide, at the slot position as a tight end. Then we have a lot of people are talking about Antonio Williams at 12. He's a slot, more of a slot type of receiver. But if you look at the depth chart, Fab, you were quite high on him. You had him at 10th, Knack 14, and myself 13. A lot of people said he was probably one of the better route runners in the draft class. 600 yards in just 10 games at Clemson, 320 yards after catch, and 64% of his targets were at or behind the line of scrimmage. So if you look at the wide receiver depth chart, it's pretty much Terry McLaurin and Van Jefferson, De'Ami Brown, Jalen Lane. He has a great opportunity, a great opportunity to have a big year.
Yeah, that's exactly why I ranked him that high. Yeah, you hit every single point on the head. I think he was a 3rd round pick, right? So that is some serious draft capital. And I think you mentioned the barren wide receiver room that they have after the aging Terry McLaurin. So I think it was only a matter of time until they start like stocking up their coffers from that perspective, right? So I think there's a path to Antonio Williams getting some serious targets right away.
And great call. McLaurin is on a 3-year deal. I think it's the 2nd year of a 3-year deal. TBD what happens with, I know Brandon Ayuk is supposed to be there, but it's not looking good from his perspective in terms of, if he even wants to play football. So
yeah.
At 13, Jeremy Bernard from the Steelers. No surprise. Knack is way higher on Bernard than we are. I like the player. He went to Bama. He looks like a good fit from a WR3 perspective, all things considered. Knack, you had him at 11. Fab and I had him at 17 and 14, respectively. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so the reason why I jumped him up, I've been reading a lot of, and it was not even from Steelers beat writers, but everyone has been saying that the spot that they got him in the draft was an absolute steal. Can play anywhere on the line, and there were already talks about how great he looked in rookie camp, and that there's chances he even surpasses Pittman Jr. On the depth chart by the end of the offseason. So I don't know. From what I've been reading, it just made me really, well, first of all, excited, but I mean, it made me push up a little bit on the rankings in terms of how high I've ranked him.
Yeah, and with Tomlin not there, I felt like Tomlin was always there to not play rookies. I feel like there's more of an opportunity for rookies to shine with Tomlin not there. So it'll be interesting to see. He has a very similar game to Pittman, in my opinion, kind of like slashers, more like yards after catch players. So we'll see on that front. And then just quickly to end out for the tier 3, Dejon Stribling at wide receiver, a player I really, really like. 800 yards, 6 touchdowns at Ole Miss. Another yak guy. This is a big yak tier here. And again, with no Brandon Ayuk in 49er land, there's no more Juwan Jennings as well. There's a very great opportunity out to line up right beside Ricky Purcell. So we're gonna see if Stribling could carve out a role there. And then
he's just gonna stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he can't stay healthy, this is
much.
To me, that's why I was quite high on him. I was clearly highest by than any of you by three ranking spots to Knack and 6 ranking spots to Fab. I had him at 12. And then there's Caden Allen for the Washington Commanders. There's a huge glut at that position. We pretty much were all lockstep in terms of his ranking, but he had a very solid career, 1,300 rushing yards, 6.2 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns in his final season at Penn State. More of a downhill physical runner, but for Washington's zone running scheme, zone blocking scheme, he could be a very, very nice fit on that front. And then to finish it off, the tier 4s. So I want to start with Jonah Coleman at 16. So you guys were very high on Jonah Coleman. I had him at 20th overall. Knack, you had him at 13. Fab, you had him at 15. For me, I don't want anyone in the Broncos running back room. Like that scares me the way Sean Payton looks at running back. So curious what you guys think.
So I agree with you. I don't want him from a fantasy football perspective, but from a dynasty perspective, it's intriguing, especially if you get him in later on, because Sean Payton doesn't draft running backs for no reason. So that's sort of my thing. It's like this could be a lottery ticket. If we're drafting like a regular fantasy season like we do in the Bush League Huddle, and we're going to do all of our drafts later on, I'm not touching Jonah Coleman like for a while until we know some clarity that he is the starting running back and all that stuff. But from a dynasty perspective, I know the drafts for dynasties happen a lot sooner. Sean Payton likes his running backs, and when he drafts a running back, it is for a reason. And they used how high of what do I call it
It
was
was a fourth round
108.
pick, I think.
So he was like what fourth round pick. You've seen some quality running backs come out of the fourth round. It's not impossible. It's just a matter of is he going to get playing time. And again, it's one of those things where like this could be a lottery pick from a dynasty perspective too.
Yeah, we said the same thing about RJ Harvey, but who I like more than Coleman. Yeah, maybe there's a size factor there. I don't know, Nak, if you have you felt similar, you felt even higher.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think my ranking is correct here. I think I made a mistake, but in terms of, I do like Coleman, and just because who was there last year that they signed on a 1-year deal that they re-signed?
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is there again. I don't think they re-sign him again another time after this season. He was also hurt, leg injury. He's had quite a few threads on those tires, especially a lot of injuries there as well. And as you just mentioned, I don't think they're sold on RJ Harvey, or they wouldn't have made a pick like this either with a fourth round pick. I don't think they had that much draft capital either. So I think that if they, to Fab's point, Sean Payton made a pick, especially that high, I think that he will carve out a small little piece, and then even in 2 years, I think that's when you'll really start to benefit more.
Yeah, wait and see approach. I think sound reasoning from what you guys are saying from a dynasty perspective. I think year one it's going to be very slim pickings. So I'll just go through the rest of the tier 4, and then we'll talk about a few of them quickly. So at 17 we had Chris Bell with the Miami Dolphins. 18 Chris Brazzell with the Carolina Panthers. At 19 we had Nick Singleton, running back with the Tennessee Titans. 20 we had Malachi Fields, wide receiver with the Giants. 21, Skylar Bell, Buffalo Bills at wide receiver. Zachariah Branch, wide receiver with the Atlanta Falcons at 22. At 23, we had Elijah Surratt, Baltimore Ravens, wide receiver. 24, Kalen Black, San Francisco 49ers, running back. And then Max Clark, Los Angeles Rams, tight end. So Chris Bell is an interesting one, I think worth mentioning, because he jumps into the most barren wide receiver room in the NFL. Even looking at my ranking, I had him at 19, Nak had him at 17, Fab had him at 12. I am already willing to tweak that because of the opportunity that Chris Bell has. I think, Fab, you caught on to that right away with your ranking of him at 12.
Yeah, like Miami don't have any wide receivers. And he's, by all accounts, he put us some pretty good college stats, and he's not a scrub. I think he's going to have an immediate path to fantasy relevance, and this could very well be what's his name, the new quarterback, Wilkins. Sorry, Willis. Excuse me. This could be Willis's new favorite target right off the gate. So I thought 12 was a decent ranking, quite frankly, considering the opportunity that's ahead of him and available to him. So.
The only reason why I pumped the brakes on that is only because, okay, so Willis comes in, might struggle at the beginning. Obviously, Chris Bell is a very good player, but definitely not a WR1. And then you figure that maybe next year they might have a rookie QB that comes to play, so that's going to peg him down a little bit as well. So that's why I was a bit hesitant to go that high up of a ranking, but definitely the opportunity is 100% there with no one else in the room.
Yeah, the depth chart is Chris Bell, Caleb Douglas, Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell. That is by far the worst wide receiver room in the league. So it will be interesting to see how he fares. At 18, we have Chris Brazzell. We won't spend too much time. I think this is one where, Fab, you were more bullish on him, but I think there's Ted McMillan, there's Jalen Coker, there's still Leggett. We haven't had a Leggett impersonation from you in a while, Fab.
No, man, what you gonna do over there to Carolina Panthers? Get some Chris Brazzell over there, some Brazzers or Brazzell? What we doing over here?
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see on that front. I'm just curious to see what the what the Panthers depth chart is quickly, but
Well, I think they drafted him to go
yeah.
opposite
Does
of
he even
Ben
slide
McMillan.
into
Like
fifth?
he,
Does
he
he even
probably
slide into fifth?
he probably slides into third because Leggett has been a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. But
yeah, he has.
he's been quite a disappointment. But I think Coker's due for a really big year. He played really well last year. Nick Singleton, running back for the Titans at number 19. We're all pretty even on that front. I mean, that's a loaded backfield. With Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Let's spend some time on Malachi Fields at 20, just because it's the Giants and there's two Giants fans on the podcast. I was higher than him, than Fab, who had him at 21. Nak had him at 22. I had him at 18.
Mhm.
I really like this type of player. Big wide receiver, good catch radius. I think he could potentially get up in the depth chart because Darius Slayton just cannot catch the ball. And it seems like that was something that Fields is able to do. So we'll see on that front. Fab, I'm surprised you were a bit more trepidatious.
I like him. I like Malachi Fields, but the one thing he does really well is block, right? And they're going to be a running team, so that has to be taken into consideration. But I like as a draft pick, as real football, I love this pick. From fantasy perspective, I'm a little bit hesitant, at least from the upside perspective, from a dynasty draft perspective, because like I mentioned, there's a lot of guys that I had ahead of him that have an easier path to success, and Malachi Fields is going to be pretty much, I think, might be third in the pecking order because there's also fourth in the pecking order because there's also Isaiah Likely that is going to be getting a lot of looks too. So that's where I'm pumping the brakes more. That's all.
Yeah. Darnell Mooney's on a 1-year deal, I believe, and Slayton, I think they were definitely regretting that contract for sure.
Neighbors, another knee surgery, so maybe he's not locked and loaded to be ready week 1.
That is definitely concerning.
No, I don't think he's. I think he's going to start on the pup. Like it's too early to tell there, but I think he's going to start on the pup.
That's concerning. Calvin Austin season. Naki, you might want to watch some Giants games.
There it is.
At 21,
there's Calvin Austin too.
Took you a while there. At 21, Skylar Bell. I think we'll pass on this one personally. I don't know much about the player, and honestly, Buffalo Bills rookie wide receivers. The only guy I want to own there is DJ Moore personally. From
not a great track record.
Yeah. At 22, Zachariah Branch. I'm going to talk about why I'm very high on him. I was a big fan of his at Georgia. More of a gadget type slot player, but he can really help out on the return game. He is a very, very fast player. I think they can use him in a lot of interesting ways. And if Tua is going to start the season, I can imagine a lot of bubble screens, a lot of quick passes. Branch is the type of guy who can take it to the house. And again, he could easily be a special team demon for the Falcons there. So I had him at 17. Fab and Neck had him at 22 and 23 respectively.
I'm looking at that just quickly. I think I regret ranking him so low. I think I'd rather have him before some of the other guys I have ahead of him, actually, because there's that wide receiver room outside Drake London is who? It's really nobody. You know what I mean? So I think there's a chance that he can get some targets.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's Zacchaeus, Jahan Dotson. He's gonna see the field a lot.
Right.
He's gonna see the field a lot.
But he's gonna get some opportunities.
Yeah. And he played at Georgia, so they obviously saw him and targeted him.
Yes.
Elijah Surratt, I also was way higher than him, than you guys, than him. I had him at 16. You guys are at 23, Fab and Knack 24 respectively. Big bodied wide receiver, big contested catch guy, Anquan Bolden style wide receiver. He played with Fernando Mendoza, obviously, at Indiana. So they need more physicality at the wide receiver position in Baltimore. Z Flowers has been okay. Rashad Bateman has been just okay. Like I think they need a big body guy, and he doesn't have the high upside. But again, he's been comped to Anquan Bolden, who played for the Ravens. I think he brings back some of that smash mouth type wide receiver play that they've needed on the outside, and a good blocker too. And then we rounded out with Kalon Black and Max Clare. I'm not too sure how to say that name. Is it Clare or Claire?
Claire. Claire.
Look, any running back by the Niners has a chance to potentially play with CMC there. So you have to assume he'll be drafted, and CMC is getting a little bit older. The Max Claire one is even from a dynasty perspective, they had 3 tight ends. I think we all agree this was a very weird pick for them. Why did they need
the whole draft? The whole Rams draft was just weird. It looks like it was a kid in a basement just like hitting auto draft the whole time. Like, it didn't make any sense to me.
They got him, and they got him end of the 2nd round. He was a 61st pick, so end of the 2nd round, I believe. So really interesting on that front, but yeah, well, we'll have to see on that on that front. I think from this list, the guy I think that has the most potential is I think Chris Bell's going to go quite high, and let's see what happens during camp. Let's see if the Dolphins bring anyone else in for competition. I would have to think they might bring a few other veterans, but I think Chris Bell out of this tier is the one that is the most intriguing. That'll do it for our Dynasty rookie rankings. So as usual, you could catch us on Spotify, Apple, Instagram, TikTok, and that'll be it for us. You'll start seeing us again in another 2 weeks or so. We're going to start to have more off-season content. It's already going to be June soon. Rookie mini camps are on their way. OTAs. Training camp is just around the corner, so we're going to have a lot more content to preview. So on behalf of Knack and Fab, I am Raj, and we will see you next time.
Go Habs, go.
Yes, GHG.
GHG, go Habs, go.
GHG.
Not the drug.
The letters are a bit off, but yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
HGH. Good night, everybody. Peace out.
Goodbye.